In school, I paid attention to economics and learned a bit about working shifts to earn the chips to build a house and furnish it. If I had a dime for every time I spit a rhyme and murdered it, I'd have the top position on the 30 under 30 list. Make some value investments like Warren Buffett. Start a record label, give myself an enormous budget. Market my classics to a massive adoring public just to build a brand they could trust and make a fortune from it. See, I'm respected from the boardroom to the streets, from Forbes the magazine and on Forbes the DVD. I'm the Bill Gates of milk crates, the Steve Jobs of beatbox with interest to invest in all these elite stocks. I could discuss a couple things from the capitalist tool and throw a motherfucker in just to captivate the fools. You could be a businessman and never graduate from school, cause in 2012, the rappers make the rules.
And a 4-track, a 54 and a booth to record at. Lil 420 weed and a zigzag, big stack old 45s and a 6-pack. And I'll be on a roll like a head crack to break you off in 4 bars like a Kit Kat. This is food for thought.
Yes, you know, growing up in New York, that kind of energy and those situations were just around me all the time. You know, from my relationship and understanding of hip hop, to be a well-rounded MC, you needed to write songs, be able to make albums, you know, be able to jump into a cypher and compete and be able to battle. So I guess it was always kind of part of the pedigree of what I felt made an actual MC. And then once I had the opportunity to be on stage in a battle, you know, it was the easiest way to get in front of a crowd and get a reaction without having a record deal or having, you know, a team to support you or have put out any music. You know? So for me, it was a way of getting more visibility before I was ready to release music.
Well, tell me about the trajectory. I mean, you know, how do you go from, like, what kind of events and venues, you know, as you move up the chain as a battle rapper?
I started making sure my battles were filmed, sending footage, you know, shipping tapes or DVDs to different companies that were putting on these events and getting accepted into other battles.
I say it's easy to lap this guy, so to me this is just sport. And your career on tracks has died, so I'm beating a dead horse.
You know, there was a time when I was going to every venue, knocking on every door, you know, shipping footage everywhere, and then people started reaching out to me.
What are the top prizes at the battle rap tournaments?
The biggest prize the biggest prize I've been a part of was at Scribble Jam, which was like $10,000 for first place, and I ended up splitting it. I was a runner-up, and we had agreed to split it. Myself and the other final contestant agreed to split the money, but I've won, you know, about 5,000. You know, I've won more than that at Fight Club because they would have put prize money up from a sponsor, so it might be like $5,000 to win, and then there are side bets as well. So you can bet, you know, your friends bet against, you know, his people, or you bet against him.
So, you know, you've been transitioning away a little bit from the battle rap scene. Tell me, you know, kind of what was the catalyst for that change, and you know, what you've been doing, you know, to move away from that, and why?
Well, you know, basically my agenda, even with the battle rap stuff, was always to have a broader platform to release music and really be a full artist. I just felt like, you know, especially as like a white kid from the Upper West Side, white Jewish kid from the Upper West Side, you know, I felt like I needed to prove myself and kind of gain a little bit of respect or credibility in a certain way, and I also love doing it. So I've always been in the studio. My parents are both musicians, and I was kind of like born in a recording studio. We always had equipment in the house when I was a kid. So I've been making songs the whole time and just trying to find a comfort level with my own artistry, you know, having a vision in my head for what I want things to sound like, or the level of quality I want to achieve. You know, you don't always have the skill set to match your vision. So for me, it was just a matter of developing those tools while I was also developing a fan base.
About to be the toughest round, squaring off with the clock, time's running out, but my hands ain't idle while the seconds go. I set my own pace.
You put together a lot of great music videos, you know, especially as an indie artist. I particularly like the one for 44 Fours. I thought that was really great.
Yeah.
You know, throwback style.
Yeah.
You know, what's the process for putting something like that together, especially, you know, since you're doing this all yourself?
So a lot of times it might start from an idea, and then I'll reach out to a director that I feel like can execute it properly. You can do things in a pretty cost-effective way. And then because I have such a strong team around me and we all wear multiple hats, you know, I've produced videos that I was in, like 44.4s. You know, I drew up the shot list and worked with the director and had, you know, printed out the documents for everybody to know what their tasks were. And so we're all really proactive with that.
And what's next for you?
The next thing is the Monster album. The album is handed in, done. I think maybe even today pre-orders go up, so it's on iTunes. I think it's a very well-rounded project. Definitely speaks about every side of the bed you might wake up on. You know, there's aggressive songs, celebratory party songs, you know, bragging songs, personal songs about my life and stuff that I go through, and then just a lot more music. You know, I've been working for a long time to really find my groove or my zone, and I found it, and I have a lot of songs in the stash that are not on this album, and then I have a lot of songs that haven't been made yet that I'm, you know, excited to get working on.
Earn a place in the plot for my coffin very deep. They say actions speak volumes and talk is very cheap. So put your 2 cents in. I don't pay it no mind. Hands on the steering wheel, eyes on the road sign. Getting to the end of the tunnel is a slow grind. Staring at the light.